What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review and discussion for UnOrdinary episode 340. Guys, season finale, not here yet. Not here yet. It's not here yet. It's not happening, bruv. So, yeah, we gotta, it seems we still have a bit of a ways. I'm guessing off the top of my head, I'm going to assume that Uru did in fact choose to go with episode 345. I don't think we're going to get another 15 episodes. I don't think she's going to end it off at 355 like she did with season 1. I think we're going to go to 345 is where we're going to end the season at. Anyway, the episode starts out. Let's talk about this because this is a really good episode, and the end of season 2 is really starting off incredibly strongly. So let's talk about this. So Arlo is in class, and he feels the rumbling from the blast that Blight created. His teacher then says that they've been asked by the school to clear out the classrooms and that they're going to head for the main entrance. As his class leaves, though, Farah and her squad of officers appear before them, and Arlo notes that they're the same task force as the ones that were sent to deal with the Spectre raid. And he also notes that these are specially trained high rankers, not high tiers, high rankers. So I'm going to guess they're probably elite tier-esque, around like elite tiers. But Farah then greets the class, and she tells them that they're not allowing anyone to get into or out of the school until the situation is handled. I assume she means until the trio has been captured, as well as John. But then Arlo begins to recognize her voice, but doesn't quite yet put together 2 and 2. And honestly, I think that's totally fine. He didn't see her face. He only heard a recording of her voice and of her talking and everything. So he does recognize her somewhat. Now, the students begin freaking out. He kind of asks her, like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you telling us? You can't just keep us here. Farah activates her ability and seemingly puts almost everyone in a daze or to sleep. And I'm not sure if this is just what her ability is or if it's part of her ability. But I'm going to be honest, if her ability is just sleep induction or like putting people to sleep, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. I'm kind of hoping this is like part of her ability because we know Ison's ability, Hunter, gives him a lot of benefits and he has a few things that he can do with it. So I am hoping that Farah has a much cooler ability than just put people to sleep. I really hope. Maybe she is like, I have such a, especially because her eyes are so cool. I thought her ability was going to have something to do with her eyes, and they still very well could. But like, I'm hoping, maybe Farah's like, my ability sucks. I'm not really that strong with my ability. And that's why she's so powerful and everything when she's Fury, because she's like, finally, I get to tear some people apart. Let's get to this. Like, who knows? But one thing I do want to take note of, Arlo and 2 other students and the teacher whose hair was blue at the beginning of the episode and now it's suddenly like a light shade of purple. That's weird. But they all stay up. I assume that the teacher is probably a high ranker or, around that area. But the 2 students that stayed up are still a bit drowsy. We've never seen these students before, so we know that they're definitely not above a 4.0 like Holden. But they are still a little bit in of a daze, so I'm thinking maybe they're probably elite tiers as well still. So maybe I definitely do think, and Arlo's like doesn't seem to be affected at all really. But Arlo takes note of her strength, and he realizes that with her and the agents that she has, the trio isn't going to stand a chance. And he thinks back to when Cass was at his place. There we see a conversation that we didn't see on screen, but it's totally fine. We're seeing it now. Cass tells Arlo, she warns Arlo that if they're going to expose Ember and get the evidence that they need to play the long game. And for the time being, Arlo can't do anything reckless. He can't do anything in the moment. This definitely comes into play later on in this episode. But he can't reveal that he's aware of Ember's true purpose before that they have everything put together. And even so, with thinking back on that, Arlo still struggles with what to do in the moment as he questions himself. And that's really cool, honestly. Again, Arlo, great job. We cut back to the trio as they've taken down a few officers, and they blow a hole through one of the school walls. And I'm not going to lie, they wreck house. Ison gets some good kicks in, Blyke blasts some people away, and Remy electrocutes people in a circle surrounding them, and it looks freaking epic. And after they take down a whole group, they run away. So one quick tiff that I do have with this episode, I assume they're still on the same floor because this is a hole that was just blown up. This was a hole in a wall that was just blown up on the top floor. So I assume they're still on the same floor that they were on originally. Why didn't they just go out through that hole? I mean, they were planning on jumping out of a window to begin with. Like they were like, okay, we don't really have much of a choice. Like, let's try and find a window. And they realized that the whole school was surrounded. So why didn't they just jump out of this hole that Blyke made right now? Because again, they also decided that they were going to go out with force if it was necessary, which now it obviously is. So that's all I'm asking. Like, why, if their plan was to jump out through a window and go out with force if necessary, why didn't they just do that here? That's all I'm saying. That's just something I thought of. That's just something I thought of. But they do get intercepted again. Remy and Blyke do something really cool in this moment, though. They take a play out of John's book, and they combined the energy blast, the Kamehameha that Blyke is known for, along with Remy's lightning, as they launch the attack at the officers. But the officers all have shield abilities, different colors and everything, but they block the attack. And then it happens. From directly behind the trio, we see a golden beam and black lightning arrive, shattering the shield as John has come to back them up, and he leads the charge. He rushes forth with the energy propulsion that he always does, leads the charge. The trio follows suit, and they take out more officers. And like I said, season 1 ending with John versus the Royals, John fighting against the Royals, season 2 going out with John fighting with the Royals. I absolutely love it. The sauce is boss. One thing I noticed, though, Remy and John's lightning looks different now. Not like it used to. It looks a bit thicker and everything. It looks a little more, it's more impactful there. You can see that it's there. So I'm curious if this is due to a possible level up for Remy, which would in turn, of course, make John's lightning stronger as well. Or it could also just be a different artist working on the scene and everything. So just something I'm curious about. I'm sure we'll get confirmation of that at some point. But more officers arrive. And John just steps forward. He tells them all to go. And Remy even asks what about him, but he tells them to leave. He yells at them to get the fuck out and run. Ison then grabs the two of them and heads out, basically just saying, you heard John, we need to go. And John is the only one left there, focusing on taking them all out for everything that they've done, and saying that he's going to take them to hell with him. We know the choice that John has made. Now, he starts getting a few good hits in. He does do the homing lightning beam on 6 officers because there's 6 of them. He gets a few good shots in, but there is another barrier, and they shoot out, and they get a shot on his shoulder. John is actually the first person to get hit today, it seems. Something to take note of possibly. That could be a sign of things to come. John could be more damaged the next time we see him. But John charges up another lightning blast and shoots it out as, again, there's another rumbling in the school. We cut back to Arlo, who takes notes that the sounds are getting more and more violent. Though it doesn't seem like he's put two and two together that it could be John. That's what I would... Maybe episode 341 will have him be like, that rumbling, that was probably John. I need to find him. But he then decides to act and tells Farah who he is. He shines his badge and everything, and she recognizes him as Valerie's nephew. And she gets him a vest and sends him to assist. So, Arlo's making some kind of move, but one of the agents also gets on a communicator and mentions that they found the trio, but their fourth target also showed up. So it seems like John was specifically going to be targeted today as well. Seems I was wrong about Sylvia's original intent, with Sylvia trying to protect John. I think that's getting thrown out the fucking window at this point. Let's be real. Let's be 100% real here. But but they're cut off from John's attack most likely, and Farah takes note of that. We then meet back up with the trio, who've caught some other guards and then begin taking their uniforms and putting them on to escape out. As they put them on, though, Blake asks about John, mentioning how he's now at risk of getting captured himself. And Remy realizes, guys, she finally did it. She finally realized something. She figured something out for herself. But she realizes that after her conversation with John, she wasn't able to convince him after all to not do anything reckless. She tells them that she realizes that John doesn't care if he lives or dies today, and is probably most likely choosing the latter, in death. When Blake mentions this to them, she tells them, guys, I don't think John cares if he lives or dies today. Blake immediately says that he needs to go back, and Remy agrees to back up John. But Ison says that they should escape while they can, saying that because of the choice that John made right now, they actually have a chance to get out of this. But Remy and Blake protest. But Ison says that they're going to get worn out and it's going to become a lot harder. Blake says something really chilling, but also I don't think it's in anger. I think it's just due to the situation at hand. Blake tells Ison to leave and save himself if he wants, but he refuses to leave John behind because John risked his life for Blake. And Remy then tells Ison that they'll meet back up at Grayson's, and they start to leave as Ison sweats, saying that he's only trying to protect them, but they always act stupidly. Honestly, I'm not mad or upset at either party because both parties are right. Yes, it's absolutely wonderful that after everything they've all been through together, the trio is Remy and Blake are willing to say, John's one of us. We're not leaving without John. We're not letting him go out the way he wants. We're not going to let that happen to him. But it makes total sense because John made his choice. It's the wrong choice. Don't get me wrong. It's the absolute wrong choice. But Ison has a point. Because of the sacrifice that John made for the trio, they have a shot. They have a much better shot now of escaping than they did with going back to get John. Neither person is wrong in this moment. Ison's right. They do a lot of stupid things. And he's clearly scared of losing them because they've cheated death countless times. Their luck is bound to run out at some point. So neither party is wrong in this instance. And I loved this scene so much. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Like I said, I think this could be grounds that someone could end up dying today. Maybe Uru pulls a fast one on all of us. Maybe she does kill off John and Sarah's the main character for the rest of the series. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Ison gets killed off because probably he separates from the group and he can't survive on his own. Or maybe he takes a fatal blow for them when he goes back to meet back up with them after all. Maybe they get caught by Farah. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Ison could call Kuyo and be like, yo, Wellston, now, we need you, please. Who knows? Who knows what can happen? But the more and more I read these episodes, the more and more it feels like someone's dying today. Farah is suspicious. Farah is suspicious of something. I think Farah is going to make a move at some point. But we lastly leave off with Arlo, meeting up with the agents who are suited up, and informs them of who he is, same song and dance that he gave Farah. And they say, like, okay, we found our targets, we'll take you to where they are. But Arlo makes his choice. The same move that we saw him use on Zeke with the barrier pulse, I guess we can call it, the barrier wave. He slams them into the wall. And he just says, I'm sorry, Cass. I don't have time to play the long game. Arlo's made his choice. Arlo's made his choice. And I'm honestly not sure if it's the right choice for Arlo. It's the noble choice. It's absolutely the noble choice. I am happy that Arlo did say, like, hey, I got their back. I have to do the right thing. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe Arlo can finesse his way out of this somehow. But who knows? We're going to have to find out tonight, aren't we? So, that's going to be it for this review and discussion, guys. Honestly, episode 340, level 9.5. I do really like this episode. I like the conversations that are happening. The action isn't as impactful as the season finale to season 1. I think we're still going to get some kind of big final fight of the season. But for what this episode is, it's really good still. There's a lot of drama. There is still action there. There's some cool shots in these episodes. And I do think that this episode is worthy of level 9.5 rating. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's going to be it for this review and discussion. And guys, we're back here for UnOrdinary episode 341. Season 2 still not done yet. But with that being said, you guys, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.